Chilean Grand Prix is the first of 7 rounds in the 2015 Maxxis FIM Enduro World Championship. The season opener comes from Talca, where, after a winter of preparation, the riders can expect a weekend of South American heat that will add an extra challenge to the typically rocky conditions. 4,000 fans attended the season opening super test, a first opportunity for the riders to shake down their machines and for the fans to see their heroes through the weekend's shortest test. Matthew Phillips was fastest of all, Antoine Mayo the top performer in E2, and Christophe Nambertin topped the timesheets in E1. But with 10 further tests to be factored in on stage 1, even the favourites had plenty of work to do across a full weekend of competition. The riders set out from the town's commercial district, heading north for the day's tests. The 4.5km cross test, the 7km enduro test and the 1.4km extreme test. Fastest time through 6 of the day's 11 tests, KTM factory rider Christophe Nambertin took first blood in E1. The Frenchman, reigning champion in the class, extended a 1-minute lead over his nearest rival by the finish. His closest rival on the opening lap of the stage was fellow countryman Marc Bourgeois, but the Yamaha rider fell back as the day went on. Bourgeois will have nonetheless been satisfied to survive his rival's late resurgence and claim second by just 8 seconds. Great Britain's Danny McCanny rounded out the podium finishers with 4 different manufacturers taking the top 4 places in Enduro 1. TM factory rider Ero Remes held a podium position after the opening 4 tests, but dropped back after a poorer second lap, losing almost 20 seconds to Danny McCanny through just 2 of the day's tests. 6 different nationalities represented within the top 10 in E1, but the French stars coming out on top once again, Christophe Nambertin taking victory. 20 championship points on the board for Christophe Nambertin, 17 in second for Marc Bourgeois, and 15 in third for Danny McCanny. Despite at one stage only sitting third, Antoine Mayo went on to take control of E2. With 11 top 3 times in stage 1, the 3-time champion finished the day with a 30-second advantage over his nearest rival. Pierre-Alexandre René held the lead for the majority of stage 1, overhauling Antoine Mayo in the first cross test, but a major crash in the last test allowed his rival to take a 28-second lead. Alex Salvini was the fastest through the day's final test, but couldn't make the necessary ground to get the better of René. The Italian's disastrous performance in the 3rd extreme test left him smarting. 2008 and 2009 champion Johnny Aubert missed out on a podium place after a 4-way scrap between the former title holders. Loic Larieux surprisingly subdued in his first appearance on board his new Sherco, failing to live with his fellow countrymen. 3 French riders in the top 4 as Antoine Mayo took the largest share of the championship points in stage 1. A stunning start to stage 1 gave Mattia Bellino the win in E3 despite his late day struggles. 33-year-old Matti Sestala hoped to make further progress in the E3 category after his 3rd place debut last year, and he got off to a strong start in Chile. Reigning world champion Matthew Phillips is the clear favourite in E3, but after a strong start in the super test, failed to take control of stage 1. Antoine Basset was a mid-pack runner last year, but the 26-year-old made an immediate impression in his 2nd season with Gas after 4th place. Ivan Cervantes had a day to forget, allowing his rivals to take major advantages from stage 1 in E3. 2 former champions kept from the top as Mattia Bellino looks for his first senior world title.
You know, everybody is happy to win, but for me it was a little bit special for different reasons. And the main one was because last year I finished my season on a victory, and then I had a bad injury on my knee, and my season was finished early, you know. Then I had a 6-month recovery. And I have been struggling a lot during all this winter. And now to be back here and win the first day of the first race of the championship, it's a really good thing for me and for my team.
After overnight rains, course conditions would be very different when the riders return for Stage 2, with Stage 2's 3 extreme tests cancelled. Finland's Eero Remes dominated, setting the fastest times in 5 of the tests. An impressive display as the Finn won with a full 56-second advantage. Christophe Nambertin lost over 30 seconds in the opening test of the day and continued to make mistakes in his attempt to make up the lost ground. But as the weather improved and the course dried, Nambertin found his feet again. Danny McCanney's strong performances in the Enduro test helped him to a second consecutive podium finish, but his results in the cross test held him back from challenging Nambertin. And Marc Bourgeois had an underwhelming second stage after his brilliant day one performance, the Frenchman suffering an error-strewn run through the third cross test that cost him 24 seconds against Danny McCanney in pursuit of the podium. Eero Remes took an impressive 56-second win to recover from day one disappointment, but with Christophe Nambertin the more consistent across the 2 days, the Frenchman leads. Just 7 points will separate the top 4 in the world in E1, heading towards the Spanish Grand Prix. Antoine Maillot did the double in E2, taking victory by an even larger margin on Stage 2. Maillot was pleased with the winter engine development that has clearly enabled him to extract more performance in the early stages of 2015. Over a minute back from his fellow countryman, Pierre-Alexandre René was involved in a separate scrap for much of the day, trading times with Alex Salvini and Johnny Aubert. After a disastrous opening cross test, Alex Salvini recovered from 11th to take the final step on the podium. Johnny Aubert sat second after the opening lap, but dropped back as the day went on. He finished just 6 seconds short of Salvini after a botched second lap. The top 4 positions on Stage 1 and Stage 2 are identical, as a pair of wins for Antoine Maillot gives him an early 6-point lead. Matti Sestala of Finland took his first E3 win, ending a 3-year trophy drought with success on Stage 2 in Chile. With his rivals taking positions and points from one another, Sestala will lead into the Spanish Grand Prix. Agar Leok recovered from an underwhelming day one performance to take second for the TM Racing Factory team. Spaniard Jonathan Barragan restored his pride on day 2 by claiming his first Enduro World Championship podium. And Stage 1 winner Mattia Bellino could only manage 4th after a poor opening lap left him initially outside of the top 10. He offered a good recovery. Matthew Phillips could only manage 8th, and Ivan Cervantes taking 12th, as the big names were just bit part players in Chile. 2 Frenchmen and a Finn then lead the senior category classifications after the Grand Prix of Chile.
Today was a good day for me. I started on the front, on the back, but I don't dust, so was more or less good for me. I get a good rhythm directly on the first stage, and after I keep the gap every stage better. So that was very important for today, winning for the next day of the championship. So it's good.
Danny McCanney sits tied with Marc Bourgeois for 3rd behind Nambertin and Remes in E1. Antoine Maillot takes an early 6-point lead over Pierre-Alexandre René and Alex Salvini in E2. And Matti Sestala leads the E3 class after 2 days of competition.